Let me tell you something that most people completely overlook when it comes to love. It's not about looking perfect. It's not about saying all the right things or playing some kind of game. And it's definitely not about changing yourself to be what you think he wants. The secret to making a man fall deeply in love is this: emotional safety. Now, what does that even mean? Emotional safety is when someone feels like they can be fully themselves around you without fear of being judged, criticized, or dismissed. It's when they can let their guard down, be vulnerable, and trust that they won't regret it later. And here's the kicker. Men crave this just as much as women do, but they rarely talk about it. See, society has conditioned men to be strong, to hold it all together, to never show weakness. They grow up hearing phrases like man up, don't be soft, figure it out. And that pressure follows them into adulthood. They learn to bottle things up, to put on a front, to act like they've got it all handled, even when they don't. And then they meet you. And here's where the magic happens. If a man feels emotionally safe with you, something shifts inside of him. He starts to trust you on a level he doesn't trust most people. He realizes that with you, he doesn't have to perform. He doesn't have to wear a mask. He can actually talk about what's on his mind without worrying that you'll see him as weak. And that kind of safety, that's rare. That's what makes a man fall deeply in love. Think about this for a second. Have you ever noticed how people gravitate toward those who make them feel safe and understood? We all do. We want to be around the people who just get us, the people we can relax around, the ones who listen without immediately trying to fix us. That's because when you feel safe, you can be your true self. And love, real lasting love, it happens when someone falls for your true self, not just the version of you that you present to the world. Now, let me be clear. This does not mean you become a therapist in your relationship. It doesn't mean you take on the responsibility of fixing him. It's not your job to heal his childhood wounds or to teach him how to express emotions. That's his work to do. But what you can do is create an environment where he feels comfortable enough to open up. And that starts with how you respond when he does. Let's say he's had a rough day and he finally tells you, "Work is exhausting. I feel like I'm failing." Now, most people jump into problem-solving mode. They say, "Oh, don't worry, you're amazing, you'll figure it out." Or worse, they dismiss it. "Oh, come on, you're overthinking it." But here's what actually builds emotional safety. Instead of fixing or dismissing, try saying, "That sounds really frustrating. I get why you feel that way." Boom. That right there, that's the magic. That's how people start to feel seen, because guess what? He doesn't need you to fix his problems. He just needs to know that you understand, that you hear him, that he's not alone. And this doesn't just apply to the big, heavy emotions. It's in the little moments too. It's in the way you react when he shares something random about his day. It's in the way you laugh at his dumb jokes, the way you remember the small details he tells you, the way you respect his need for space when he's overwhelmed. Emotional safety isn't about grand gestures. It's about consistency. It's about showing up day after day as someone who he doesn't have to put a front up for. And when a man finds that, when he finds a person who makes him feel emotionally safe, that's when he stops looking. That's when he commits fully, deeply, without hesitation. Because men don't fall in love with how you look. They don't fall in love with how perfect your life appears on social media. They fall in love with how they feel when they're around you. And if he feels like he can finally breathe when he's with you, if he feels like he can be himself without fear of judgment, that's when he falls. And he falls. So if you want a man to fall deeply in love, be the place where he can put his armor down. Be the person who listens without trying to fix, the one who creates space for his emotions instead of dismissing them, the one who reminds him through your actions that it's okay to be real. Because when a man feels safe, he stays, and not just stays, he chooses you every single day. That's how real love is built. Let me tell you something that most people get completely wrong about love. It's not just about attraction. It's not just about chemistry. It's not even about time spent together. If you want a man to fall deeply in love and stay in love, there is one thing you cannot overlook: respect and admiration. And listen, I'm not talking about shallow, surface-level compliments. I'm talking about something deeper, something that speaks to who he is at his core. Because here's the truth: men don't just want love, they want to feel respected. Now, before you start thinking, well, of course I respect him, let's break this down. Respect isn't just about being polite. It's not just about saying I love you. Respect is about how you see him, how you speak to him, and how you show up in the relationship. It's about the way you acknowledge who he is and what he brings to the table. Because men, they're wired to thrive on respect. Society has told them from a young age that their worth is tied to their ability to provide, to achieve, to be strong. So when the person they care about the most sees them as capable, valuable, and worthy, that's when something shifts inside of them. Think about it like this. Have you ever noticed how a man lights up when he feels appreciated? When someone says, "Wow, I love the way you handled that situation," or "I really admire how you never give up." It's like his whole energy changes. That's because for him, admiration isn't just nice, it's fuel. It's what makes him feel like he's doing something right, like he has a purpose in your life beyond just being there. And I'll tell you what kills that admiration fast: criticism, dismissiveness, talking down to him, especially in front of others. These things chip away at a man's confidence faster than anything else. And I'm not saying you should never call him out when he's wrong. Of course you should. A healthy relationship requires honesty. But there's a difference between constructive conversations and making someone feel small. Because here's what happens. When a man feels like nothing he does is good enough, when he feels constantly criticized or belittled, he starts to shut down. He stops trying, he pulls away. And it's not because he doesn't care, it's because he doesn't feel respected. And respect, it's not just in the big moments, it's in the little things. It's in the way you listen when he's talking about something he's passionate about, even if you don't fully understand it. It's in the way you acknowledge his efforts, even if they seem small. It's in the way you believe in him, even when he's doubting himself. And admiration, that's the secret ingredient. That's what makes a man fall hard. Because let's be real, every single person on this planet wants to feel valued. We all want to be seen, to be appreciated, to be acknowledged for the things we do. And when a man feels like you truly admire him, not just love him, but admire him, he will go to the ends of the earth for you. Now let me be clear, this isn't about ego stroking. It's not about fake compliments or pretending to be impressed when you're not. It's about genuinely seeing the good in him and making sure he knows it. And this doesn't mean ignoring his flaws. It means balancing your expectations with appreciation. Because the truth is, men don't just fall in love with the woman who makes their heart race. They fall in love with the woman who makes them feel respected and admired for who they are. And if you want to build a love that lasts, if you want a relationship where he's all in, where he's invested, where he sees you as the one, start here. Start with respect. Start with admiration. Start by making sure he knows that in your eyes, he is valued, not for what he does, but for who he is. Because love without respect doesn't last. But when a man feels deeply respected and admired, that's when he falls, and that's when he stays. I want you to think about the times when you've felt most alive, most connected to someone. It's not necessarily in the serious conversations. It's not even in the deep, vulnerable moments, though those matter too. No, it's those times when you were just having fun, when you laughed until your stomach hurt, when you weren't worried about how you looked or what you were saying, but you were just present, enjoying the moment. Now, here's the kicker. Playfulness is a huge part of what makes a man fall deeply in love with you. I know. Playfulness isn't always the first thing we think of when we talk about love or relationships. We tend to focus on the serious stuff, the deep conversations, the commitment, the challenges, the responsibilities. But let me tell you something important. The power of playfulness in love is underrated. Playfulness isn't about acting like a child, being immature, or trying to make everything into a joke. No, it's about creating an environment where you can be lighthearted and fun with each other. It's about being able to let go of all the pressures of life and just enjoy each other's company. It's about being able to laugh together, make silly memories, and share moments that don't require any explanation. When you're playful in a relationship, it shifts the entire dynamic. You stop taking yourself so seriously, you stop holding on to the need for things to be perfect, and instead you let the connection flow freely. And here's the thing, men find this incredibly attractive. Why? Because deep down, men are wired to want a woman who makes them feel like they don't have to be serious all the time. They want someone who can create a space where they can relax and be themselves without the pressure of performing. When you bring playfulness into your relationship, you give him the freedom to show up as his authentic self. And think about how that feels. When you're playful, you're not worried about being perfect. You're not worried about looking good or saying the right thing. You're just enjoying the moment. And guess what? That's exactly what makes him feel comfortable. It makes him feel like he can be goofy, spontaneous, and truly free around you. But it's not just about making him laugh or doing something fun together. It's also about how playfulness impacts the way you interact. Playfulness is confidence in disguise. When you're playful, you're showing him that you're comfortable with yourself. You're not afraid to be a little silly or spontaneous. You're not afraid to be vulnerable in a way that's not so heavy. And that confidence, it's incredibly magnetic. Now you might be thinking, but what if I'm not naturally playful? What if I'm more serious, or I don't know how to let go? And let me say, that's okay. Playfulness doesn't have to mean being the life of the party or cracking jokes all the time. It can be as simple as being lighthearted about life's challenges. It can be as simple as sharing an inside joke, doing something spontaneous, or even just being playful with your words. Playfulness isn't about being someone you're not. It's about embracing the fun side of life and letting that energy seep into your relationship. Men want a woman who makes them feel alive, who can make a challenging day feel lighter, who can help him laugh through the tough times. Life is heavy enough as it is, responsibilities, work, personal struggles. When you can bring a sense of playfulness into the relationship, you create a balance. You make him feel like he can escape the heaviness for a moment and just be in the joy of being with you. And here's something important to remember. Playfulness deepens the bond between you. It creates shared experiences, memories, and inside jokes that only the two of you share. These moments are the glue that holds relationships together. They create intimacy, connection, and a sense of belonging. It's these moments that make a relationship feel unique, special, and worth holding on to. And let's not forget the magic of shared laughter. It's scientifically proven that laughter releases chemicals in our brains that help us feel happier, more connected, and more bonded to others. So when you laugh together, when you share those fun, carefree moments, you're not just having a good time, you're chemically strengthening your bond. You're building love and affection that can withstand the ups and downs of life. Playfulness also helps ease tension and conflict. Instead of getting bogged down by every little disagreement, playfulness allows you to approach problems from a more relaxed perspective. It gives you both the ability to look at life with a sense of humor, even when things aren't perfect. And that lighthearted approach, it helps deepen the relationship because it shows you're in it together, no matter what. So the next time you're with a man you care about, remember that playfulness isn't just an optional extra in the relationship. It's a secret weapon. It's one of the things that makes a man fall for you hard. It's what allows him to connect with you on a deeper, more meaningful level. And it's what makes your relationship fun, exciting, and worth fighting for. If you want him to fall deeply in love with you, bring playfulness into the mix. Lighten the mood, make him laugh, enjoy the little moments. And remember, it's the joy you create together that keeps the connection alive long after the initial spark has faded. Playfulness isn't just about having fun, it's about creating a love that lasts. Let me tell you something that might feel a little uncomfortable at first, but I promise it's the truth. Men love to feel needed, not needy. Now I know, we've all heard that love is about support, connection, and mutual care, but there's a subtle yet powerful difference between those two things. It's a difference that can either make a man fall deeply in love with you or cause him to pull away. We all want to feel needed, right? No one wants to feel invisible, like they're just going through the motions of life without making an impact. And this is especially true for men. They want to feel like their presence matters, like they're contributing something important. Men are wired to be providers, whether it's emotionally, financially, or through simple acts of love and care. And that's a good thing. It means that when you make a man feel like he's needed in your life, whether it's for support, for guidance, or just because you trust his judgment, he feels like he has a purpose. But here's where it gets tricky. There's a fine line between making him feel needed and making him feel responsible for your happiness. And I'm going to say this straight up. Men do not fall in love with women who are constantly needy. I know, that's a tough pill to swallow, but let's break it down. Needy behavior is when you rely on him to fill emotional gaps that are your responsibility to handle. It's when you place the weight of your happiness, your confidence, and your self-worth on his shoulders. Men are not equipped to constantly carry that weight. They might try out of love, but ultimately it wears them down. No one can sustain that level of emotional responsibility for someone else forever, and it's not fair to place that burden on him. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't lean on him or that you shouldn't ask for support when you need it. That's a huge part of being in a healthy, balanced relationship. But there's a difference between asking for help and expecting him to be your everything. A man falls deeply in love when he feels like he is contributing to your happiness and growth, but he doesn't want to feel like he's the only reason for it. When you make a man feel like he's needed, you're giving him a sense of purpose. You're letting him know that he's valuable and that his actions truly matter to you. For instance, if you trust his opinion, ask for his advice, or rely on his strength in times of uncertainty, he starts to see you as someone who respects and values him. That kind of respect makes a man feel confident and proud to be by your side. It boosts his self-esteem because he feels like he's making a difference in your life. But when you cross over into neediness, that dynamic shifts. Neediness is about constantly seeking external validation. It's about depending on him to fix everything for you, emotionally and otherwise. It's about the unspoken message that without him you wouldn't be able to cope. This makes him feel pressured and overburdened. He wants to be your support, but he doesn't want to be the sole source of your emotional well-being. The second symptom of brainwashing is that you presume everyone wants you to be better. A man falls deeply in love when he feels like he is a positive addition to your life, not the thing holding it all together. You see, men are attracted to strong, independent women who have their own lives, their own passions, and their own purpose. It's incredibly attractive when you know who you are, what you want, and where you're going. When you're living your life to the fullest, pursuing your goals and maintaining your own sense of identity, he looks at you and thinks, wow, I admire that. She's living her best life, and I get to be part of it. When you're needy, however, you're signaling to him that you're not whole on your own, that you're searching for someone else to complete you. And while a man might feel sympathy for you or want to take care of you, that doesn't necessarily make him fall in love with you. He might stay, but he won't be as deeply invested as he would if you were whole and independent. Now, I'm not saying you can't rely on him or that you have to do everything alone. There are times when you'll need his support just as he will need yours. That's the beauty of a relationship: mutual support, mutual respect, and mutual love. But the key is to never lose sight of who you are. Never forget that you are complete on your own. When you need something, it's okay to ask for it, but make sure that he's stepping in because he wants to help, not because he feels like he's the only one who can fix things. The truth is, a man loves the feeling of being needed, but only when he knows he's contributing to your life in a meaningful, positive way. He falls deeply in love when he feels like he's making a real impact, but that impact should be something that enhances your life, not carries it. So if you want a man to fall in love with you, don't let him become your emotional crutch. Be strong, be independent, and know that your happiness, your confidence, and your worth come from within. When you embrace that truth, you'll create a relationship that's built on respect, balance, and deep love. And that's the kind of love that lasts. Let me tell you something that I believe is one of the most powerful forces in any relationship: confidence. Confidence is like a magnet. It draws people to you, it commands attention, and it creates a sense of attraction that's irresistible. Now, I'm not talking about arrogance, and I'm not talking about pretending to be something you're not. I'm talking about real confidence, the kind that comes from knowing your worth, standing firm in who you are, and walking through the world with a sense of purpose. Confidence doesn't need validation from others. Confidence doesn't need constant reassurance. Confidence comes from within. It's about knowing that you are enough, just as you are, and owning that truth without apology. And let me tell you, when you embrace that kind of confidence, it's magnetic. People can't help but be drawn to it. Now, here's the thing. Confidence isn't about being perfect, and it's definitely not about being the loudest person in the room. It's about being comfortable in your own skin. It's about walking into any room and knowing that no matter what anyone else thinks, you own your value. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You're already enough. And when it comes to relationships, especially with men, confidence is one of the most attractive qualities you can bring to the table. Why? Because men, just like women, want to be around someone who knows their worth. They want to be with someone who's not afraid to stand up for themselves, who knows what they want, and who doesn't apologize for having high standards. Confidence signals strength, independence, and self-respect. It says, I know who I am, and I know what I deserve. And that is incredibly magnetic. Think about it. When you're confident, you're not chasing. You're not desperately trying to get his attention or prove your worth. You're not second-guessing yourself or overanalyzing every interaction. Confidence means you stand tall in your own power, and that energy is unmatched. But here's the thing, and it's important. Confidence isn't something that happens overnight. It's a practice. It's something you build day by day. It starts with changing the way you see yourself. Instead of focusing on your flaws or comparing yourself to others, you start to recognize your strengths. You start to realize that your uniqueness is your power. When you're confident, you don't let other people's opinions define your self-worth. You don't need constant validation from your partner, your friends, or anyone else. You already know your value. And when you live with that mindset, you attract people who recognize and appreciate that. Confidence also means being able to set boundaries. It means saying no when something doesn't align with your values or your needs. It means not being afraid to speak up when something isn't right, even if it's uncomfortable. And guess what? Men respect that. They respect women who know what they want and aren't afraid to stand up for themselves. It's incredibly attractive to see someone who is unapologetically themselves, who isn't afraid to speak their truth and who doesn't shrink to fit in. But here's the twist. Confidence is not about being flawless. It's not about being perfect. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Confidence grows when you embrace your imperfections. It's about owning your quirks, your mistakes, your past, and everything that makes you, you. Men don't fall in love with a perfect version of you. They fall in love with the real you. The woman who is comfortable in her own skin, who embraces her flaws, and who owns her journey. When you have that kind of confidence, you give off an energy that says, I'm enough and I know it. And when you walk through life with that kind of energy, you become magnetic. You become the person that people want to be around because you radiate positivity, self-assuredness, and strength. And men? They're drawn to that like a moth to a flame. But here's the real secret. When you have that kind of inner confidence, you stop seeking external validation. You stop trying to get his attention or win his approval. Instead, you become the kind of person who naturally attracts attention because you're already whole. You're already complete. You're already at peace with who you are. And when you show up like that, it's impossible not to stand out. So if you want a man to fall deeply in love with you, start with yourself. Start by embracing your worth, your strengths, and your imperfections. Start by cultivating that quiet, unshakable confidence that comes from knowing who you are and not needing anyone else's approval. When you do that, you'll stop chasing love and start attracting it. You'll stop doubting yourself and start living with a sense of purpose and power that no one can ignore. Confidence is magnetic, and when you have it, love will follow. Because the right person will see that confidence and want to be a part of your journey, not because they feel like they have to, but because they want to. That is the kind of love that lasts. Let's talk about something that's so incredibly powerful in relationships, yet often overlooked. Emotional intelligence. It's a term that gets thrown around a lot, but when it comes to making a man fall deeply in love with you, emotional intelligence is not just important, it's essential. If you're wondering what emotional intelligence is, it's the ability to recognize, understand, and manage not just your own emotions, but also the emotions of others. It's about empathy, emotional awareness, and the ability to navigate life's ups and downs with grace and clarity. And let me tell you, this is a game changer in relationships. Now, why does emotional intelligence matter so much in love? Because relationships, especially intimate ones, are emotional experiences. They're not just about shared interests or physical attraction. They're about how you connect, how you support each other, and how you handle the emotional dynamics of life. And here's the thing. When you're emotionally intelligent, you can read the room. You can tune into your partner's needs, understand when they're upset, when they're happy, or when they're feeling vulnerable. This ability to pick up on emotions, even unspoken ones, is what builds connection on a deep level. Let's break this down a bit. A man doesn't just fall in love with the woman who makes him feel good when everything is going well. He falls in love with the woman who knows how to handle the difficult moments. He falls for the woman who can sense when he's stressed and knows how to respond. Emotional intelligence allows you to be there for him when he's going through challenges, to understand what he's feeling without him even having to say it. It's about showing up with compassion and support in the way he needs it most. For example, when he's having a bad day at work, the emotionally intelligent woman knows when to give him space and when to be there for him. She doesn't take his frustration personally, and she doesn't push him to talk about it before he's ready. She's able to offer comfort without trying to fix the situation, because she understands that sometimes all someone needs is someone to listen, not to offer solutions. This emotional awareness and non-judgmental presence creates a safe space for him to open up, to trust, and to feel supported. But here's the real magic of emotional intelligence. It's mutual. It's not just about knowing how to react to his emotions. It's also about knowing how to manage your own. Emotional intelligence is about staying calm in moments of conflict, not letting your emotions dictate your reactions. When you're emotionally intelligent, you can navigate difficult conversations without escalating things or getting defensive. You're able to communicate your feelings clearly without letting your emotions take over and cloud your message. This kind of emotional regulation creates stability in a relationship. Let me give you an example of how this plays out in real life. Imagine you and your partner have a disagreement. Someone might say something that triggers you, and your first instinct might be to react, to fire back, to defend yourself, or to let your emotions take control. But if you have emotional intelligence, you'll pause. You'll recognize that your emotions don't need to dictate your actions. You'll breathe, take a step back and respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. You'll ask yourself, how do I want to show up right now? What's the best way to handle this? And when you do that, you not only handle the situation better, but you also create a relationship dynamic where both of you can communicate and problem solve without unnecessary drama or conflict. The truth is, men are deeply attracted to women who have emotional intelligence. They want someone who can manage her own emotions, who doesn't react to every little thing, and who can understand them without judgment. A man wants to feel like you get him, like you understand what's going on inside of him without him having to explain every little detail. And here's the kicker. When you understand his emotions and respond with empathy, he feels closer to you. He feels understood and valued. He feels like you are the one who can see him for who he truly is, not just the surface level version of him. And let's not forget how emotional intelligence helps you connect. The more emotionally intelligent you become, the more you can show up in a relationship in a way that makes him feel safe, heard, and appreciated. And let me tell you, men love to feel heard. They love to feel like their feelings matter. They love to feel like their partner can manage emotions with grace, because it helps them feel like they can be themselves. They don't have to hide their struggles, their insecurities, or their fears. They can open up, and you will be there to listen without judgment. Now, emotional intelligence also means being able to forgive. When things go wrong in relationships, it's easy to get bitter, to hold on to resentment, or to get stuck in the past. But emotionally intelligent people understand that forgiveness isn't just about letting go of what the other person did. It's about releasing the emotional weight that holds you back. When you can forgive and move forward, you create space for love, healing, and growth. So, if you want a man to fall deeply in love with you, cultivate your emotional intelligence. Learn to listen deeply, understand silently, and respond thoughtfully. Understand your own emotions and how they affect your reactions, and help him navigate his feelings without judgment. This ability to connect emotionally, to empathize, to communicate with wisdom and grace, it's irresistible. And more importantly, it creates a love that is deep, real, and lasting. Let's get real for a moment. One of the most powerful ways to make a man fall deeply in love with you is by being supportive, not just in the easy moments, but when it matters most. And here's the thing, one of the most important areas where your support will make a profound impact is in his dreams. A man wants a partner who believes in his potential, who encourages his growth, and who stands by his side as he pursues his aspirations. Now, we all have dreams, right? Those big goals and ideas that we work towards, sometimes quietly, sometimes out loud. And when it comes to relationships, a man's dreams are a huge part of who he is. It's not just about his career or his ambitions, it's about his sense of purpose, his drive, and his need to feel like he's moving forward in life. And if you can be the woman who supports that, who believes in him, who encourages him, and who offers a safe space for him to chase after those dreams, you will be the one he cherishes. Here's the truth. Men want to feel like their dreams matter. They want to feel like someone has their back as they pursue their goals. But the kind of support I'm talking about isn't about just cheering from the sidelines. It's about being actively involved in his journey. It's about understanding what he's working towards, asking how you can help, and showing genuine interest in what matters to him. When you do this, you're not just being supportive, you're being an integral part of his success. But let's be clear, support doesn't mean that you have to give up your own goals and dreams in the process. It doesn't mean that you should lose yourself in his journey. No, it's about creating a relationship where both of you are building towards something together. Support means recognizing that his dreams don't diminish your own, they complement them. You can be there for him without sacrificing your own passions. When you're both supporting each other's dreams, you create a partnership that is unstoppable. Now, some of you might be thinking, but what if his dreams are hard to understand? What if I don't share his passion for what he's doing? And let me tell you, that's okay. You don't have to be fully invested in every detail of his dreams to support him. You don't have to have the same exact goals for yourself. What matters is that you respect his vision, you listen to his aspirations, and you show him that you care enough to be involved. This doesn't mean you have to sacrifice your own boundaries or put your life on hold, but it does mean showing up for him. It means celebrating his achievements, being there when he faces challenges, and offering your perspective when he needs it. The most powerful support comes from genuine belief, believing in him even when he has doubts, believing in his potential when he can't see it for himself. Men can be hard on themselves. They can be their own worst critics. So, when you show him that you believe in his abilities, even when the world may not be cheering him on, that's when the magic happens. You become the person he looks to when he needs to be reminded that he is capable, worthy, and powerful. Think about it. When you can show up with that kind of unwavering support, when you become the one person in his life who is constantly encouraging him to reach higher, do more, and keep going, that's irresistible. He's not just falling in love with you because of how you look or the good times you share. He's falling in love with you because you make him feel like he can be his best self, because you are the one who believes in him when he might not even believe in himself. But here's the key. You have to support him in a way that doesn't feel like you're trying to control him or push him into something he's not ready for. Support is about empowerment, not pressure. It's about knowing when to offer advice and when to step back and let him figure things out on his own. It's about trusting that he can handle things while still being there when he asks for help. Real support doesn't force him into a box. It encourages him to grow into the best version of himself. This kind of support isn't just a one-time thing either. It's consistent. It's the little things. Asking about his day, listening to his ideas, helping him brainstorm solutions, and celebrating his wins, big or small. It's also about standing by him during the tough times. offering encouragement when things don't go as planned, and helping him stay focused on the bigger picture. A man falls deeply in love with the woman who is there not just when things are easy, but especially when things get tough. Being supportive also means having a sense of patience. Dreams don't always come to fruition overnight. There are often setbacks, challenges, and frustrations along the way. But when you stay by his side, showing him that you're in it for the long haul, that's when the deep emotional connection is built. So, if you want a man to fall in love with you, be his biggest supporter. Show him that you believe in his dreams as much as you believe in your own. Celebrate his progress, encourage his growth, and stand by him when the road gets tough. When you become the person who is always rooting for him, always showing up with belief and faith, you won't just be supporting his dreams, you'll be building a love that is unbreakable, lasting, and deep.